Most of you are familiar with HuggingFace. Now, HuggingFace is a great place or a platform to pick up models, datasets, specs, or kind of run your own model, play around with libraries and things like that. However, there's a very interesting alternate to HuggingFace, which is called replicate.com. And what replicate.com is seems to be a lighter version or in some form competitor to Hugging Face. And what we can see is it has similar kind of information, but it's slightly more accessible. It has models, predictions, trainings, deployment. So it focuses on consumption. And it also has a very simple form of APIs to even host your models. So just quickly checking what are the features that it has, and then this is what you end up with. It says run AI with an API. It's literally bang on there, and you can fine tune open source models, deploy custom models, play with them, and the number of lines of code is very less. Like for example, you import replicate, and this is all you need. You say for event and replicate.stream, you pass the model, you pass the prompt, and you're done. You can do this with a bunch of libraries. You can do this with Python, curl, JavaScript, and then there's a couple of more options in the documentation. There are lots of libraries available, be it from custom models that people are publishing, like something like a disposable camera or flux model, which are very popular these days for image creation, or meta models and things like that. You can use them to do a variety of purposes, whether you want to generate image, you want to use it for just capturing some text, doing something with text like generating captions, upscaling, restoring, modifying images, generating cartoons from images, generating multiple forms of use cases from images. You can do all of that. You can even chat with images. Like there are models where you upload some information, you can kind of build a chat around it. Music is also possible, videos are also possible. However, videos are, again, as I've talked in some of the videos, not very, you'll not be able to do a long form video. A couple of seconds are usually acceptable. Speech is there, 3D stuff is there, which is becoming very popular. So all in all, a lot of abilities, very interesting models, use cases. You can get some sort of an output like this. I tried it. I will show you what I get. This looks very photorealistic. I would definitely want to go and do a little bit more deep dive into my images here. I'll probably copy this model. This might require some commercials, but let's go to the website. So basically, once you log in, it will ask you to set up a billing, because all of these runs can happen over a GPU, so they'll charge you for that. The pricing is not significantly high. For most models, if you run it on a CPU, you get like 0.36 per hour, which is like a couple of rupees, like probably 25-30 rupees. If you do NVIDIA A40 large, you do probably 2.61 an hour, so probably about 12-13 runs per dollar. So yeah, there are a lot of public models as well. There are image models, language models, private models can be hosted, and then you can obviously fine tune it. You can also fundamentally run a lot of these models within Docker. So like for example, if I want to run a face to sticker model, right, I can upload my photo here and I can get some sort of an images, which is something that you could be using for a variety of use cases, like creative use cases, like if you're into content, you can do thumbnails. If you want to do different sort of variations of your logos, you could try that. This model requires a billing, so I need to put my credit card, which I have not done so far. However, I'll show you free models. So this is a simple model which is called Flux Streamscape. Basically, it uses Flux LoRa and has certain style to trigger image generation. And what's happening here is I have uploaded my image, which I literally use everywhere, and just for safety, I use the same image everywhere. So the person in the image looking like a high resolution cartoon with face details intact. However, it has kept some sort of fact that glasses are there, but this person just does not look like me. I can go ahead and tweak it, like modify it and say like nothing. Okay, keep the person in let's say a background with lightning, and let's see what it does. I'm trying to generate something similar to that image, and I'm not changing any parameter. By the way, there are lots of parameters to play with when you have Flux models. You have images, you have masking file, aspect ratio, width, height, number of outputs. You can actually have this increase. I think this increases the kind of time it takes. Obviously, the LoRa scale, the number of inference step, model. You have a couple of models available, like you can use Snell model or Dev model. Guidance scale, lower values give you more realistic. So you usually try to be somewhere around 2.5, 3.5. prompt strength, how much prompt is importance. One would be basically implying that the full destruction of information in the image. So I want to go something like 40%. Okay. And then you can have certain additional parameters like output quality, which is resolution, etc., etc. And then you click run it. I'm again not sure if, okay, there you have reached a free limit. So it's basically gonna be billing me by the second, but you can adjust these parameters as you go on running it. You also, the best part is, which I've not seen at least this simple in Hugging Faces, it gives you, once you upload it, right, it gives you all the information as JSON. It has the Python variant present, so for whatever code you have, so it will just give you all the details expected, and the interaction is very similar. So you can do HTTP, which is essentially curl commands, Python, Node.js, JSON is obviously available. Within the dashboard, they show you all the models that is available. Again, very similar to Hugging Face, but you have models. You can go to predictions, where I've generated some past predictions, like I gave it a disposable camera image. It just throws some weird stuff. I wasn't even sure what it was throwing. Some models are good, some models are very weird. This is the Dreamscape model, which I tried to run, like a cat taking a nap. Then you can do trainings as well. I don't have any training jobs, but if you're doing fine tuning and stuff, you would see some information here. You can obviously deploy your private models. This has a lot of much more configurability than using something like an OpenAI fine tuning. So much more, I would recommend this than OpenAI fine tuning. And then the other options are just webhooks to build the connections, stars to kind of a dashboard to model the models, and then support. So overall, much simpler in terms of experience. So if your goal is to more consume as a company, as an agency, as a place where you're just interested in the use cases, go for this. Hugging Face is still the GOAT, and because you see most of the stuff here, right? Hugging Face will definitely have much more information, much more depth. It's much more popular. You can obviously do a lot of these stuff in Hugging Face as well, but the amount of information presented to you, right, like adapters, fine tune, quantization, I mean, lot of people understand it, and there's also a lot of detailing, documentation. So it's more oriented as building a model store. That's where it evolved compared to Replicate, where you're just trying to just consume. All right, so it's a great tool if you're looking for something like an alternative to Hugging Face. To give it a shot, please put in the comments if you are interested in more tools like this, and I will keep researching. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.